Yes, hello everyone. It's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for connecting from every part of the world where you are. This event is to honor the legacy of our beloved late Dr. Martins Okeke. And this event is probably one of, a way to show and preserve his legacy. If there's one person who has committed to ensuring that the diaspora is not left behind with respect to development, with respect to facilitating socioeconomic relations, it's Dr. Martins Okeke. My job here is simple today. I'm only going to be an anchor, and because we have seasoned veterans who will be doing justice to different parts of engagement with respect to diaspora. And just to mention, this is going to be the first of its kind. It's the maiden edition, and so it will be an annual event to honor and preserve his legacy. The theme for this event is one that is at the core of the art of our late beloved Dr. Martin Okeke, and it's titled Leveraging on Diaspora Resources for African Sustainable Development. In French, is Mettre, les ressources de la diaspora au service de développement durable de l'Afrique. And so all our participants, we are welcome from every part of the world that you're connecting from. And we trust that at the end of this event, we could pick one or two things that commit ourselves and our focus to ensure that the diaspora is not left behind with respect to Africans' development. Without further ado, I would like to pass the ball to one of the key figures in this event. She's the event chairperson. She's the co-founder of the Dr. Martin Okeke Friends Group. And she's also an international business leader, and she'll be giving the opening remarks and the goodwill message. So I would like to make welcome Mrs. Ada Fayet. Welcome on board, Ma. Over to you.
Thank you, Abiodun. Welcome, good morning, bonjour, chers amis de Dr. Martin. And it's a pleasure, it's a privilege also for me to be here. And just a brief remark, Abiodun has welcomed all of us, and as we go on, we get to know who's who. And my bit is gonna be brief, thank God, because I have people who are great, and we'll be giving more on the topic of today. Just a quick one. When Martin left us, little did we know we will be doing this today. That platform was just set up for us to get together and then say goodbye. And I remember asking permission from Emmanuel Okeke, who's here with us today, and his wife Helen, of course, the whole family. Just out of not worried, anxious, a bit of desperation actually, because we were all there at the very last minute. So I asked Emmanuel, how can I help? What do I do here? And he said, do whatever you want. I said, okay, you know what? Rather than calling everybody one by one, let's set up a platform where we can all key in, and then that will make the job easy. And he said, okay, go ahead. And then I scratched my head, okay, who do I put on this? I'm like, okay, I don't even know anybody. Not the African diaspora, not the Nigerian diaspora, so what do I do? Emmanuel, can you give me the telephone? And then I'll pick up people from there. So he said, I know better. I'm going to introduce you to Prof. Emmanuel Igah. You get him and you get everybody. I said, great. And this was how it all started. And then, of course, the beginning, the anchor of it all was all the people who were with Martin at the very beginning of NIDOE and the other organizations and so on and so forth. So that's how the platform was came on board. And at the same time, I was like, no, we're not going to have this platform forever. It's set up for a purpose, and after that, I'm going to shut it down. Then as we went on and homages and whatever started coming in, people started coming together, getting to know each other. And on the platform, it became, hey, I haven't seen you for a long time, haven't heard from you for a long time. And then people said, wait a minute, don't shut it down. Please keep it, because we're here and we love being together, and that will be a great memory, souvenir, and everything we've done with Martin And that thing that connects all of us is Dr. Martin Okeke. So the platform is here. So 2 years on, the platform is still here. The memory of our dear friend Martin is here. And it's as if he's not even gone, he's here with us. So for me, that's a great honor. It's a pleasure and a great privilege. So I thank everybody. And now Abiodun, who's gonna take it from here. So welcome on board. Bienvenue à tous. Merci beaucoup. And bonne route as we go.
Thank you so much for that awesome goodwill message and introduction. I almost started feeling emotional again because I also was very, I met Dr. Martins at a very, critical point while in France. And one of the first things, he did was to ask about our organization, Friends of Nigeria, how it can support what we do. And to be candid, I have to say this, because I also know his close family members are here. One of our events, Dr. Martin actually raised funds for us and got people to sponsor us at no cost. It was always very, dutiful and offer his experience. And on that note also, and that's why the next person we're bringing on board is somebody also who is also dear to Dr. Martin's heart, a very close friend, and also a mentor, obviously, in the diaspora field for me also. He's not that person than Professor Emmanuel Igah, and he'll be taking the first shot at, on this theme, which has to do with engaging diaspora towards sustainable development in Africa. Dr. Emmanuel Igah, over to you, sir.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to first of all thank Ada, my sister Ada Ene, our sister, for this vibrant homage to our departed brother, Dr. Martin Okeke. And of course, Mr. Abiodun, who actually has been the engine of the organization of this conference. Once we put the ideas together, I don't know how many of us have the kind of technical capacity he has, the experience in organizing big events like this. And once he said, well, he can work with us, as also a member, a very active member of Dr. Martin Okeke's Friends platform, he quickly accepted to take up the organization of this event. I felt covered by his acceptance, and I'm seeing it. Everything has happened. We have people on board, and then we'll be able to now have a good conversation with us, ourselves, and also with the spirit of Dr. Martin Okeke. He's not physically here with us, but I'm seeing him on the screen here. He's registered there as a spirit, so he's there. Dr. Martin Okeke is right here with us, and I'm sure he will be making his input by giving us all the inspirations that we need for this conversation. Actually, when we were looking for a way, as Madam Maiden just mentioned, and we concluded we should do something like this, which is perfectly in the line of what Dr. Martin would have appreciated. We also, well, the event itself as a conference, Dr. Martin liked participating in this kind of thing, to bring up ideas, exchange with people, and the topic, connecting the diaspora with Africa. And we thought this was something that he would like. So initially we were hesitating between the word conference or conversation. It could have jolly well been Dr. Martin Okeke Memorial Conversation. It could have been that too, because Dr. Martin Okeke wasn't a formalist. He was a very down-to-earth, humble person, and he would rather see this kind of thing more like a conversation, a chat in his living room, sharing some drinks and things like that, talking about how we are going to change Africa. This is the kind of man. But when we finally settled for the word conference, but it's more like a conversation. So take it like a conversation. We are on board here formally, but I am feeling all of you as if you are around me here in my in my sitting room. So everybody should feel everybody is there wherever you are in your sitting room. That's how we should see it. It's a very, very, let me say, formal but informal at the same time, or semi-formal as you call it. It's a chat around Dr. Martin's ideas. Well, we talked about doing something that is about the diaspora, contributing to Africa's development. Now, what is the diaspora? Diaspora is a word many people just pronounce, and we really don't know what it is. It's not just people that have left Africa to come overseas and look for greener pastures or look for education or work. It's very vast. When we talk about African diaspora now, more and more, there is a consciousness that it goes beyond that. We are now having a great engagement from our brothers and sisters across the world who are descendants of, let me say, former slaves that were uprooted from the ancestral lands in Africa and taken to the Americas, many of them in the USA, in South America, in Canada. All those people we do call African Americans. Some of them are in Europe too, in the UK, some in France. And in France, of course, you have territories or departments of France like Guadeloupe and Martinique and Guyana, etc., where we have our brothers and sisters from Africa that descended from so many generations, 300, 400 years ago. They are part of our diaspora. In Brazil, we have a huge concentration of people from, Yoruba land. Many people from Haiti think they come from somewhere in Nigeria, particularly the eastern part of Nigeria, etc. So these are all our brothers of the diaspora, brothers and sisters of the diaspora. So that's how I want to start by fixing that concept of the diaspora. A good part of the diaspora is concentrated mainly in Americas and Europe. But of course, if you go to Asia, you still find a lot of them. How can I put it? I think everybody now agrees that Africa is the mother of humanity. The whole of humanity emerged from Africa. Even the Western scientists and archaeologists have established that fact. And we have Africans up to Australia, Aborigines, etc. They are part of our diaspora. They were on the African continent before. Then whatever happened, continental drift, continents separated and all that, and then they were moved to other parts of the world. It's a very vast concept when we talk of African diaspora. Now, in the continent itself, we have about 1.2 billion inhabitants in Africa. A good part of the population, majority, is concentrated in sub-Saharan Africa. That is Black Africa, let me say. And 1.2 billion. We estimate that maybe up to 200 million to 300 million may be living outside the continent, right? So if you add that, we are talking of about 1.5 billion people that are of African descent. And I'm talking about Black Africa now. So, well, if you have to add the northern part of Africa too, if you consider the 1.2 billion, of course, but northern part of Africa is less populated than the southern Sub-Saharan side. So anyway, that is the population we are looking at. It's a bigger population than the whole of the population of China, which is 1.4 billion, which is the biggest country in terms of population in the world. Now, when we talk about diaspora contribution to their motherlands, we look at one of the things people talk about very much, and it's mainly the outflow from overseas of remittances to the different countries that the diaspora people come from. we estimate that about $554 billion in total leave the overseas countries to the low and middle income countries, the LMICs. It's a very huge amount. And as far as Africa itself is concerned, this amount is about 48 billion that is coming to Africa every year, 48 billion. In the 48 billion, we have about 24 billion, half of that amount, coming only from Nigerians outside sending money to Nigeria. So Nigeria accounts for half of the total inflow of remittances from outside Nigeria, so or outside Africa. Now, of course, all this will be impacted by the COVID in this period, but we are looking at something like a sharp fall in this period of about 20%, but it's going to build back very, very quickly. Now, we saw the importance of the remittances to families. What are the types of diaspora involvement? As a whole, as we said, remittances constitute the majority of this involvement of the diaspora. Now, most of these remittances are going for family subsistence. Family subsistence. That is probably where I have a little problem with the remittances, because the remittances for now are mostly going to feed. And people collect the monies coming in dollars, euros, etc. They convert to local currencies when necessary, and they buy food, they eat. But we are not able to see the corresponding impact of this inflow of money in terms of translating into physical development, infrastructure, and things like that. So that is not really happening. We are having like 24 billion coming into Nigeria every year. It's a lot of money. It's already probably more than the budget that the country, Nigeria's budget and annual budget. But we are not seeing the physical impact on ground because most of it is going for subsistence. Now, the second type of diaspora involvement we can look at is human resources. We have some highly qualified diasporans that are returning willingly, some of them returning willingly, some of them because government approached them to come back and try to build the country. Let me even just mention 2 or 3 examples. You have somebody like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who was vice president in the United States, lived all her life mostly in the United States, studying there, and became VP in the World Bank until she was invited to Nigeria by the Obasanjo administration. And she was minister under Obasanjo, I think under Yaradua too. And to cut the long story short, this involvement in her own country's development through her government, her official functions in government, helped to build her stature. So much so that when she got interested in contesting for the directorship of the, as Director General of the World Trade Organization, it was made easy for her. So as we talk today, she is the first woman, the first Black, and a Nigerian for that matter, to have become the Director General of World Trade Organization, a very important organization. We have other people like Professor Kingsley Moghalu, who was also in the United Nations and came back, worked in the Central Bank of Nigeria. He was recently a presidential candidate. We have somebody like Raymond Dokbesi, who is the owner of AIT and who was trained in Poland. And I think was also invited to Nigeria by President Olusegun Obasanjo. At the time, he was the military head of state. Anyway, so we have this kind of involvement, including in politics, diaspora involvement in politics. In this area, of course, many countries have diaspora vote, which enable their citizens across the world to go to their consulates or embassies and vote during elections. Even Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast, all these countries have diaspora vote. We don't have it for the Nigerian diaspora yet. And I think Abiodun is spearheading the struggle with the government with the support of the person in charge of diaspora in Nigerian government, Mrs. Abike Dabire, Honorable Abike Dabire, to try to get diaspora vote for Nigeria. And we hope it happens before the next elections. Then let me quickly run through the last type of diaspora involvement, as time is short, but I don't want to go into much details. Maybe we'll do that in the conversation that will come up after, and that's about projects and direct investment. As we talked this morning, a Nigerian or a couple of Nigerians in the United States have just succeeded in convincing some investors from the USA to come and partner with Ondo State government to set up a huge solar energy farm that will be capable of generating up to 10 megawatts of electricity. The project is about to start. That will be wonderful. The whole nation, Nigeria, is struggling to even produce more than 5 megawatts. And we are talking of a solar farm that is going to produce double of that, right? So that's a very good example of how diasporas can act to bring the development to Africa. Well, let's leave a bit Nigeria. You go to Senegal, you have a big project that is about to be launched by a very famous musician called Akon City Project. It's a tourist attraction, a very big city that he wants to construct in off Dakar, the capital. And I think it's something he's starting with about $2 billion. He's using his influence to try to do this project and bring investors. It looks feasible. I think the project will see the light of the day at the end. It's on. And then we're having some big actions coming from organizations like One Africa Initiative, the OAI, which is now embarking on the construction of African diaspora cities. It's going to be done and replicated in several countries. Nigeria, Ghana are involved. And what they are doing is to invite investors to partner with local investors to bring these cities to life. That's a very wonderful thing that is about to happen. Then, of course, I remember very well, single-handedly, the input of one of the great sons of Nigeria, the footballer, Kalu Nwankwo, who suffered from heart ailments. And because of that, he plowed a very, very considerable part of his earnings from football into the construction of one of the world's most modern heart centers in Nigeria. I think that heart center is in Abuja. It's already operational. And then, of course, we have people in the diaspora acting, doing projects here that are of direct interest to Africa, of all sorts. Well, Abiodun has put up the Friends of Nigeria organization with his colleagues, and they are doing a fantastic job promoting Nigeria, promoting investment with big actors in the economic sector. So we can give kudos to these individual initiatives. I see somebody like Blessing Izomo on board this conference, and she too has a project with helping refugees coming from Africa. So she is working on Africa, but working from here. And that is also going to be a way to bring assistance to Africa. Now, let me close by just simply saying that the need for increased collaboration between diaspora and our continent, our countries where we come from, in the field of education, research, industry, and projects cannot be emphasized. That will be the way forward to bring a very solid and effective input by the diaspora into the development of the continent. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Igah, for that insightful piece. You mentioned, you touched on almost everything that borders around sustainable development with respect to diaspora, from remittance to knowledge transfer through human capital development to diaspora voting, the political side, to projects, collaboration, And just to also mention, I know, I mean, even if you don't blow your own trumpet, I mean, I'll help you blow it. You know, you mentioned Kanu and you mentioned Ugozi, Dokwesi. Dr. Igah also has been one of the people spearheading, as a matter of fact, he spearheaded the first Nigerians' participation at the biggest agricultural event in France called the Salon de l'Agriculture. This event is always hosting over 600,000 people from across the world. The very first time Nigeria will be participating, I think about 3 years ago, Dr. Igah spearheaded that, and I was privileged to also work with him on that project. We were able to attract state governments in their numbers from the north to the south, and he's been obviously very involved in that and seeing how we could leverage on collaborations to ensure that Nigeria, France, and other international partners have a win-win agreement with respect to trade when it comes to agriculture. So he did mention some few names who were doing well, but I didn't want him to be humble, not to blow his own trumpet, so I will blow it because he also shall put his own name there because he's doing a terrific work, even at his old age. and you know what it means to be able to engage Nigerian. You have to travel to Nigeria, come back here to get the embassy and got all stakeholders. And for the first time, Nigeria had an exhibition, and all thanks to Dr. Igah for spreading that. Thank you so much, sir, for these awesome contributions. And just to mention, as we move on, there will be time for comments and contributions. Like Dr. Igah mentioned, that this is supposed to be an interactive one. So we're going to be making the room available for everyone to make interventions and also give comments. So, but without further ado, we'll move on to the next segment. And this is also by somebody who is a very thought leader, especially in the area of health. We're going to be inviting Dr. Henry Osuji. He wears two caps. Dr. Henry is a healthcare professional, and in that regard, is specialized in nutrition, diseases, and dietetics. Also, he's a management scientist, and on that note, he specialized in the management of human resources. He's been able to double, wearing these two hats and engaging very well as a diasporan person. He is the founder and the CEO of FINIEP, which is an ideological limited company which has a base both in Nigeria and France. So if there's somebody who can do justice to the pandemic, looking at COVID-19, the impacts on the diaspora, how can diaspora be involved? How can we solve problems? I don't think anybody else would have done justice other than Dr. Henry Osuji. So Dr. Henry Osuji, good morning, and over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Actually, I thank you people for putting together this event. And let me make a little reference. Professor Igah and myself are two of the 12 people who were members of the steering committee during the formation of NIDOE France, 2001, for which Dr. Martin Okeke was the first president. And since then, we have been working together, some people working in the background, others flamboyantly. It's normal. So I thank you for getting me involved this morning, and having the background of a medical and management scientist, I will attack the topic from both ends. Now, we are talking of diaspora resources for leveraging Africa's sustainable development, not sustainable growth. We are talking of development. People can grow without developing, both economically and elsewhere. If I go back to our adolescent years during the Civil War, some people had food to eat, others didn't have. But those who were not eating food were even growing fatter. Some became obese even. So you can grow without developing. So what matters today is the development aspect of Africa and what the diaspora can contribute. So as diasporans, I think the best thing we can do is to act as a bridge, linking Nigeria to the outside world in our own capacities, wherever we can act. It is not possible for many of us to go back home, as some have done, to develop projects or lead projects that are happening there. But we can, in our own various capacities, act at our levels. So the advanced technologies we have here, or the human skills, we can still make them work in Nigeria, for instance, with the communication equipments and technology we have today. We don't need to move physically. You see, we are having a Zoom conference now. Some are in Nigeria, some are elsewhere, Luxembourg, France, and just like that. So everything is possible today. The only thing we need to do is to do a sort of structural adjustment program. In the late 80s or early 90s, when Nigeria was in serious economic difficulty, we were talking of SAP, structural adjustment program. So the technologies we have today in Europe and elsewhere in the Western world, they are far higher than what could happen in Nigeria. So there is a gap. There is a gap. The Western world is at a stage, Nigeria is far back, just like other African countries. An example is the social media, which needs to be a monster that needs to be tamed if we want to have sustainable development, because it's a double-edged sword. It can help us and it can also cut us down. From the Nigerian experience or what we are having so far, it's rather the negative side that is being felt more. You know, the youths especially have keyed into this system without necessarily having what we call the MIL education, that's the media and information literacy education, that would expose the benefits and the dangers of the social media. So a lot of them go in blindly without knowing the consequences of what they may be doing on the social media, and eventually the thing falls back on us, you know, as a negative consequences. So what we need to do is at the national level, we may probably need to engage education in that field, maybe even starting from the primary school, because primary school children of today, they have a lot in their hands, so they can even learn. It's part of education, learn how to use the mass media in a positive way and not really to, you know, destroy, castigate, or destroy businesses or human relations. So that would be a very good step for sustainable development. Then we can now use the instruments that are available with the, you call it geospatial data or artificial intelligence technologies to make things easier. The constraints we have in human development today is distance, time, and energy. So these social media platforms can now help us to collapse these constraints. Distance will no longer matter, time will no longer matter, and energy expended will be minimal. A lot of things can be achieved. So we have the different opportunities existing in all the spheres of life. But to make these things happen and they have a positive effect on Nigeria and other African countries, I want to apply two strategies. One, what we call micronization of industrial projects. The projects or the industrial things we have over here, they are meant for mass production, mass distribution, and where capital is involved, a lot of capital. Back home, we don't have that capital, but we have labor. So when you now take these projects, you may break them into smaller units, and you can have a very small micro industry or micro enterprise employing maybe 2-3 people. When you have 2-3 people employed by one person, and you have maybe 300 persons doing the same type of job or the same type of involvement, you see a lot of people are already employed. If I take my own example, now I started developing somewhat a range of products I called Nutritherapy Water Series far back many years ago, and I was exporting to Nigeria in containers until we faced the normal, the usual Nigerian problem with customs, with NAFDAC, with so many agencies. And then somebody said, why can't you come and develop these things in Nigeria? I said, no, the type of product I'm dealing in is a product that evolves, that emerges directly from the earth. I cannot transpose, I cannot carry the soil from France and then go and transpose it to Nigeria. It's not possible. So it gave me an idea, I started thinking. And after many years, I developed a system that is now possible to use the water bodies in Nigeria and the vegetation to create products grounded in Africa and Nigeria that will serve both economically and health-wise. So if you have any botanical species, our normal plants and vegetables, herbs we have at home, as long as they are not toxic, I developed a sort of what I call plenipotentiary water that can convert these botanical species into natural medicine, which you use. There may be vegetables you eat every day, but we now give them some impact, something that will now help you extract the healing agents in these plants and make it available at the level of primary health care. All the villages in Nigeria and Africa, they have 1 or 2 herbs or vegetables they consume regularly, and which intuitively they know are therapeutic or medicinal in nature. What I'm bringing in is now to help them, instead of, for instance, you know what we talk about, herb teas or all the infusions we have. Instead of going to boil water to brew your tea, by boiling water at 80, 90 degrees, you have killed almost all the healing agents in the plant or in the herb. Now I offer something that allows you to extract the healing properties of these plants without boiling water. So whether there is NEPA to do electric oven or not, whether there is firewood to put local fire in the village or not, you don't bother. Once you have what I call this nature of product or what I have, you can infuse and make use of all the herbs you have. You have water bodies all over Nigeria. Look at our states. How are they named? Starting from Anambra State, Benue State, Imo State, Cross River State, River State, Ogun State. Name them, all of them. So we have water everywhere in Nigeria. Even in the desertic areas, if you dig deep, you find water in the deserts. So there is the resources, they are there. We now want to bring the technology back home, and that is where what Professor Igah referred to as human resources training. Human capacity training. You help them develop accelerated skills with which they can develop this industry, which can expand the existing industry. Like this, you have water sellers and water producers everywhere. What we can now do is to help convert that ordinary water, whether it is produced and bottled, or you draw it from the streams or rivers, or you dig it from boreholes. I just teach them how to convert them into therapeutic water. So these things are possible at different levels, and we can all, in our own different areas of works, we can have 1 or 2 projects that can work in that nature too. Now, to make this thing happen, they need little capital, as we say. Now, all the diaspora transfers, the money being transferred home, as Dr. Igah said, they were being used for subsistence living. We can use very little of them today, or beginning this year, January. The Corporate Affairs Commission in Nigeria has made it possible for Nigerians in diaspora to register what we call a one-person company, where you are the only director. You can be the only shareholder, so you can control whatever you are doing in that company. Unlike before, where you call friends together or family relations and say, okay, let's put up this business. You are here, you are only one. So when they want to take decision and vote, majority will carry the vote. They may adopt resolutions that are against you as even the founder or the financer of the business, and in their own interest, they do what they like, and after a short time, the business is run down. So this year, what they call the new investment code, the Nigerian authorities have made it possible for people, foreigners, whether Nigerians or foreigners, you can now create a one-man business or company, not just business name, a company. You are the shareholder. So if there's any resolution to take, you take it yourself. You say you are one man. You are not consulting, no assembly general, no general meeting. However you feel deemed is good to run your business, you can do it from abroad without even putting your feet on the grounds of Nigeria. So those things are possible. We need to exploit them. Now, what we need to do is now trying to adapt the projects or the technologies or the techniques we have in the Western world. We need to adapt them to our own environment in Nigeria. What I call domestication, indigenization, localization, whatever you call it, but let it be adapted. Look at the social media and the telephony or internet. We don't need to have 5G or 4G even in the rural areas. 3G is sufficient. In the rural areas, too many people are not connected at the same time. So 3G can work very well. So if you can have a facility or an equipment that works on 3G, you take it to the specific areas where they are needed. Then for the areas of concentration like Lagos, Abuja, and other big towns, you may not look for the greater equipments or equipments with higher capacity. Now, if this does not happen, the tendency is that people in the rural areas will start doing what we call urban migration or rural exodus again, rushing to the big cities where they can get internet connectivity and this thing to do their businesses. And today, the social media has made it dependent. That is, the young workers, people who are engaging in modern trades or what we call the fintech, they are all now dependent on social media. There we don't have foundation, we don't have background. That's the danger. You see, few weeks of suspension of Twitter activity in Nigeria alone, the economic problem it is causing for young people or young investors. They say every 1 hour, $250,000 lost, opportunity lost. Now calculate 24 hours a day, 7 days in a week, 2 weeks, and so on. So you can see the impact. Now the problem is that these people cannot roll back. They can't do what we call retro pedaling to find a system on which their business can run. So while we are accepting or adopting modern technology, we should not lose trend of the old or traditional systems that are there, so that if there is no electricity, if there is no internet, there is still a way by which you can carry on your business. So today it is almost impossible for the young business creators because everything is based on social media. And the problem now again is this social segregation that is coming in again, the concept which we call digital quality of life. Young people are now dependent on digital technology. If you don't have data, you don't have telephone, you no longer belong. So it has now become a status symbol or a yardstick by which people measure their self-esteem, their comfort, and even their psychosocial balance. If you don't have and some people in search of these things will now going to do migration, go to the towns and cities, and then you see problem, kidnapping, this, and you have stories once or twice in the news where people are being killed or kidnapped because they were looking for jobs in the cities and so on. You know, all these things go through social media. So it is very necessary for us to adapt. When we have the foreign technologies, we try to adapt them to our environment at home, and it will serve the population in a better way. See, luckily for us, this year again, we have created in Africa what they call African Free Trade Zone. So you can be in Nigeria, trade with other African countries, just like within the ECOWAS system. So a product you develop in Nigeria is likely to work in at least the sub-Saharan Africans elsewhere, because we have the same problem. We have the same demography. We have the same environmental problem. So any product or project or service developed in Nigeria can work within the African regions. 1.2 billion individuals is not a joke. If you have only 0.1% of them as market share, the banks will be smiling at you every time. So the efforts we make here, we may develop products here or projects here because we have the facilities, electricity, internet, research facilities, and so on. When we develop, we try to adapt them to the context back home so that we can implement them, whether we are there or not. There are so many ways people can take on and help in that aspect, so that all the huge remittances that are going to Africa can now be applied to sustainable development. If in my state, which is Imo State, I think we have about 300 and something electoral wards, and for each ward I can have a project that we employ 4 people, I've created 1,200 and something jobs, and this is easy to do if the people back home are collaborating. And that is why it's also possible for us, necessary for us to be abreast of what is happening at home. Whether the government is good or bad, there are 1 or 2 projects or things they are putting together that we can leverage on to help the population. And Lord, we should be very, very wary of fake news. Once any project comes up, of course, there is always people who will, you always have people who will criticize or support. So we need to go beyond what we are seeing on social media, go for the real facts, see where government can actually come in and help either integrate or collaborate or help the very little projects we have to be implemented in all the states of Nigeria and even in Africa. So for the meantime, since we have a very short time, I would like to stop at this point, and during the period for comments, we may take questions. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Henry. Indeed, you're not just a speaker, you're a practitioner. And I think that was one of the reasons why Dr. Igah and the entire team deemed it fit that we should have your contribution. You touched on many things, and I liked your opening, that we should just act as a bridge. Diaspora should be the bridge and connect both parts, which is exactly what you're doing. So you've not just come to tell us theories, you've showed us how it's possible, and now your company is, making such moves in the area of health. And I think this is what, Dr. Our late beloved Dr. Martin Okeke's life was all about, how the diaspora can be out of the country or the continent, but yes, use their experience, use their initiatives to make contributions back at home. Thank you for all that you do. And definitely this is a diet. You can see we started from, obviously talked about remittance and the global picture. We are diving into health, and the next segment will take us deeper into other things people are doing. And so without further ado, we'll be also inviting two key persons, who are also very much involved in respect to how, the Black race, how the African diaspora can leverage on resources and leverage on their capabilities to be able to advance the quest for sustainable development in Africa. Peter Lema is going to be one of the next speakers. He is involved with the organization Cercle de Marronage and also Coalition 2011. Also Rosita Destival, who is also very much active in the field of Réparations, so she works with Mouvement International for Réparations, MIR in France. And just to mention, these two organizations are also organizations that our beloved Dr. Martin Okeke was very much involved with in respect to how governments who were involved in slavery and all of that can be involved in reparations and give back support to places where they made strange interventions. So I will leave Peter Lema to come on board and discuss their efforts with respect to changing the narrative and how easy the journey has been in their engagement on this front. Over to you, Peter Lema.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, bonjour.
Donc, on va faire une intervention alternée avec Rosita Destival, qui est connectée aussi. Et d'abord, c'est pour vous dire que c'est un grand plaisir pour nous de partager ce temps avec vous. Et nous allons d'abord commencer par la date. Nous sommes le 19 juin 2021, mais avant d'arriver au 19 juin 2021, nous allons faire un petit temps, évoquer le 19 juin. Pourquoi cette date est si symbolique pour nous? Je laisse la parole à Rosita, qui nous fait un topo sur le 19 juin 2019, et moi je reviens sur le 19 juin 2020. À toi, Rosita.
Rosita, vous êtes là? Oui. Rosita.
Rosita?
Excusez-moi, je n'avais pas mis mon micro.
D'accord.
Je reprends. Oui. Aux États-Unis, la question des réparations aux descendants d'esclaves revient devant le Congrès. Une commission de la Chambre des représentants organise une audience intitulée « Le chemin vers la justice ». Le jour n'est pas choisi par hasard, le 19 juin. C'est le jour de liberté ou encore jour de l'émancipation qui commémore l'annonce de l'abolition de l'esclavage et de l'émancipation des esclaves afro-américains dans le Sud confédéré. L'objectif de l'élu démocrate Sheila Jackson Lee est de mettre en place un groupe parlementaire chargé d'étudier dans quelle mesure et sous quelle forme des réparations doivent être envisagées. Donc,
ça se passe le 19 juin 2019.
2019, exactement.
Voilà. Et le 19 juin, là, c'est au niveau des États-Unis. Et le 19 juin 2020, le Parlement européen, le Parlement européen reconnaît l'esclavage et la colonisation de crimes contre l'humanité. Dans tout le processus qui a suivi l'affaire Floyd, que tout le monde a pu suivre, hein, il s'agit d'un jeune afro-américain qu'on va tuer par la police en plein jour. Et cet acte violent se passe le 25 mai. C'est en même temps la date de l'Union africaine, de l'African Day, 25 mai 1963. Et c'est ce jour-là qu'on assiste à l'horreur. Et donc, 2020, quel est le lien qu'on fait avec Martin? Pas simplement par rapport à la date du 19 2020. Le lien, c'est que le député qui a porté la question, qui s'appelle Omar J, avant lui, il y avait un autre député qui avait posé cette question de la reconnaissance de crimes contre l'humanité au Parlement en 2013. Et pour que ce député puisse le porter, il a fallu mettre en place une coalition pour la reconnaissance des crimes contre l'humanité, de l'esclavage et de la colonisation. C'est la raison pour laquelle vous avez un logo de la coalition 2011. Et cette coalition a vu le jour à Nantes le 7 mai 2011 et la réunion avait été coordonnée par Martin Okeke. Voilà, c'était pour faire cette ponctuation. J'ai envoyé une vidéo, Emmanuel, Igah, je pense que je vous ai envoyé une petite vidéo parce que en une minute, Martin nous explique comment est-ce que les États d'Afrique se sont déjà engagés sur cette question des réparations, parce que nous constatons qu'ici en Europe, c'est comme si en fait il y avait que les Outre-mer qui étaient à la page. Or, dès le début des années 90, au Nigeria, c'est le président Mosho Abiola qui pose déjà cette question entre 90 et 93, dès l'achèvement de la décolonisation, à la fin de l'apartheid, le dossier des réparations pour les crimes et pillages coloniaux est placé à l'agenda de l'OUA. Le continent est sous attaque, attaque continue, donc les leaders assassinés. Étrangement, l'étranglement par la dette, et le temps est venu de poser la question qui doit à qui. Si vous pouvez envoyer la vidéo, c'est aussi pour faire en sorte qu'on puisse intégrer Martin dans cette partition. Il est déjà intégré, mais on va le voir physiquement. Vous l'avez reçu?
Je ne l'ai pas vu. J'ai eu beaucoup de choses ces dernières heures. Je ne sais pas si tu l'as programmé sur ton système. Oui, mais j'en ai parlé au modérateur Abiodun. Il a dit qu'il peut le jouer.
Je vais vous le faire passer directement. Est-ce que je l'envoie à qui, du coup, pour le partage?
Abiodun, can they play it on partage d'écran?
Sharing? Oui, vous pouvez
que je fasse ça.
Oui, dans votre côté, vous pouvez.
Je peux l'envoyer. Là, je l'ai envoyé, du coup, à tout le monde. Non, Emmanuel, non, uniquement Emmanuel. Je vais l'envoyer à tout le monde. Comme ça, on va laisser Martin évoquer ce petit point que je viens d'évoquer. C'est à vous.
OK. Donnez-moi quelques secondes.
Quelques secondes.
Yeah, so while Abiodun is setting up the system, are you through?
Yeah, I'm ready now. I can.
Okay, so we go ahead. You are a super technician, eh? That's good.
Yeah.
Libération a connu de grands étapes, en particulier la lutte pour l'indépendance, la lutte contre la ségrégation, la lutte pour démanteler l'apartheid, ensuite la lutte pour les réparations qui nous amènent ici aujourd'hui. En effet, en Afrique, beaucoup de militants ont mis à l'agenda de l'Union africaine, organisation militaire africaine, l'aspect réparation dans les années 90. Bon, le chef du file de ces militants qui avait commencé ça, c'était Moshood Abiola, au Nigeria, qui avait gagné les élections présidentielles, mais fut tout de suite après emprisonné. Il a connu la mort pratiquement 4 ans après, avant de sortir de la prison.
Bien. Alors, je peux poursuivre du coup, parce qu'effectivement, le son, il est un petit peu mâché, mais chacun pourra écouter Martin, en fait, qui, lui, était président de MIR France et qui déjà, à l'époque, rappelait ce que certaines personnes n'osent pas dire, parce qu'on veut faire porter presque la question des réparations aux personnes qui sont plutôt des personnes descendants d'Africains déportés, réduits en esclavage, alors même qu'au continent, en fait, cette question avait déjà été posée depuis longtemps. Et il faut savoir que le mouvement Nord de libération entre 1997 et 2001, il y a eu la création aux Nations Unies d'un poste de rapporteur spécial sur les formes contemporaines de racisme. Et Maître Maurice Gléglé-Aranzo s'est dit préoccupé par le fait que le racisme, la discrimination raciale et la xénophobie gagnent du terrain de façon quasi officielle. Et des partis politiques ouvertement racistes accèdent au pouvoir, les théories racistes ont pignon sur rue et se répandent par le biais d'Internet. Des lois au contenu manifeste raciste et xénophobe sont adoptées et les immigrés sont devenus des boucs émissaires de la crise économique. Et en 1998, il y a le lancement de la préparation de la 3e conférence des Nations Unies contre le racisme organisé pour la première fois. Ça se passe dans un pays d'Afrique, ça se passe en Afrique du Sud. Et en France, en mai 2001, il y a l'adoption, 3 ans après, justement, une bataille mais rude, il y a l'adoption de la loi dite Taubira qui reconnaît l'esclavage et l'esclavage de crimes contre l'humanité. Et donc, à partir de ce moment-là, que va-t-il se passer? C'est qu'il y a une bataille entre certains parlementaires qui va faire en sorte que l'article sucré de la loi, l'article abordant la question des réparations, soit totalement évincé. C'est-à-dire que la loi n'est même pas arrivée au Parlement. C'était dans la cour, dans la Chambre des députés, où cet article parlant des réparations a été totalement évincé. Et c'est la raison pour laquelle le mouvement international pour la réparation va décider, ça sera une toute première fois, de porter plainte contre un État colonial. Rosita, peut-être que tu peux aborder Durban et après, moi, je vais faire une conclusion sur la procédure du MIR. Ah, on ne t'entend pas, Rosita. Ton micro.
Autant pour moi. Alors, source, cause, forme et manifestation contemporaine du racisme, de la discrimination raciale, de la xénophobie et de l'intolérance qui y est associée. Point numéro 13. Nous reconnaissons que l'esclavage et la traite des esclaves, en particulier la traite transatlantique, ont été des tragédies effroyables dans l'histoire de l'humanité, en raison non seulement de leur barbarie odieuse, mais encore de leur ampleur, de leur caractère organisé et tout spécialement de la négation de l'essence des victimes. Nous reconnaissons également que l'esclavage et la traite des esclaves constituent un crime contre l'humanité et qu'il aurait toujours dû en être ainsi, en particulier l'esclavage et la traite des esclaves, en particulier la traite transatlantique, et sont l'une des principales sources et manifestations du racisme, de la discrimination raciale et de la xénophobie, ainsi que de l'intolérance qui y est associée, et que les Africains et les personnes d'ascendance africaine, de même que les personnes d'ascendance asiatique et les peuples autochtones, ont été victimes de ces actes et continuent à en subir les conséquences. Le point numéro 14. Nous reconnaissons que le colonialisme a conduit au racisme, à la discrimination raciale, à la xénophobie et à l'intolérance qui y est associée, et que les Africains et les personnes d'ascendance africaine, de même que les personnes d'ascendance asiatique et les peuples autochtones, ont été victimes du colonialisme et continuent à en subir les conséquences. En somme, nous sommes conscients des souffrances infligées par le colonialisme et affirmons qu'il faut les condamner, quel que soit le lieu et l'époque où elles sont advenues, et empêcher qu'elles ne se reproduisent. Nous regrettons en outre que les effets et la persistance de ces structures et pratiques aient été parmi les facteurs qui ont contribué à des inégalités sociales et économiques persistantes dans de nombreuses régions du monde aujourd'hui. Ça c'est un extrait du rapport de la Conférence mondiale contre le racisme, la discrimination raciale, la xénophobie et l'intolérance qui y est associée de Durban 2001. Peter, tu peux
on va donc finir, merci Rosita, on va donc finir par l'année 2005. Que se passe-t-il en 2005? C'est que, étant donné qu'il y a eu cet article qui a été évincé, donc la procédure en réparation de l'esclavage contre l'État français menée par le MIR et le CMDPH, c'est le Conseil mondial de la diaspora panafricaine de Capet de Bana. Et donc, il y a une procédure qui est mise en place entre 2005 et pendant 7 ans, le dossier n'est pas recevable. Et le dossier est jugé recevable en 2012. Et le MIR a fait toutes les juridictions françaises que des rejets jusqu'à la Cour de cassation. La dernière décision de la Cour de cassation date du 6 novembre 2018. Et donc, le Mouvement international pour les réparations décide d'ouvrir ce dossier au niveau de la Cour européenne des droits de l'homme. Et curieusement, en février 2020, la Cour européenne des droits de l'homme juge le dossier recevable. Juste pour info, nous étions en train de préparer une communication importante à cette période-ci parce que la Cour européenne a poussé la France à rouvrir ce dossier, c'est-à-dire qu'il y aura un certain nombre d'avocats, pas que des avocats de la Martinique, cette fois-ci on aura de plusieurs des États-Unis, d'Afrique, qui devaient normalement se rendre le 25 juin en Martinique. Le procès a été repoussé, mais retenez bien la date parce que ça fait partie d'une actualité, mais une actualité qu'on n'entendra pas sur BFM ou dans d'autres médias que nous connaissons. Ça va se passer le 11 et le 12 octobre. Ce procès historique va se passer en Martinique le 11 et le 12 octobre. Et retenons que le 12 octobre, c'est la journée aussi du calvaire parce que c'est la date qui marque l'arrivée de Christophe Colomb aux Amériques. Voilà, c'était pour notre petite contribution. Et j'ai envoyé une image. Voilà, si le modérateur pouvait juste nous le mettre, c'est l'image de la date d'aujourd'hui. Nous sommes le 19 juin 2021 et Rosita, tu pourras commenter cette image parce que figurez-vous qu'à partir de cette année, à partir de cette date d'aujourd'hui, c'est férié, c'est ça, Rosita?
Oui, tout à fait. Tout à fait. C'est une date extraordinaire qui fait que le 19 juin est entré vraiment dans l'agenda international, enfin l'agenda oui, des Nations Unies, puisque c'est comment dire, c'est le Congrès américain qui a décidé que cette date, maintenant, est un jour férié et que ça va être le Juneteenth en fait. Et c'est pour cela que le 19 juin, nous avons décidé que c'est la date de Martin. Et je vais véritablement conclure sur une citation de Martin qui l'a prononcée à Nantes en octobre 2012 pour véritablement célébrer, lui rendre hommage, parce que c'est un visionnaire qui a su véritablement faire passer la continuité et le clin d'œil pour nous faire comprendre que la voix des résistants s'entend de plus en plus. Au départ, on était en train d'intégrer nos dates dans l'agenda international. On a toujours été en quelque sorte à l'avant-garde de la production du droit en portant nos revendications, et maintenant les choses avancent de plus en plus. Donc,
et donc ça que tu vas lire, c'est les propos de Martin. Ça se passe le 6 octobre 2012 à Nantes. Il s'agit de quoi? D'un forum qui a été mis en place dans le cadre des 25 ans de l'exhumation du Code noir. Le Code noir, c'est vraiment la monstruosité juridique, ce texte qui dit que l'homme noir est réduit et meuble, en fait, et qui fait que l'article 12 et 13 du Code noir dit qu'en fait, on peut naître esclave, c'est-à-dire on naît esclave. Et ça va plus loin, il y a des articles 38 du Code noir où l'on dit que l'esclave qui aura été en fuite aura le jarret coupé, l'oreille coupée, et à la 3e fois, il sera puni de mort. Donc, c'est vraiment une monstruosité juridique. Et dans ce cadre-là, nous avons reçu aussi Martin, dans le cadre de ce forum, et qui disait ce dernier mot pour conclure, parce que je pense que les minutes avancent.
Oui, exact. Alors, je commence. Hier comme aujourd'hui, chacun a le pouvoir de déterminer le sens qu'il donne à sa vie. Il y a eu, en France comme partout, un affrontement qui a duré des siècles entre puissance d'argent et humanistes. Et il nous semble que ce mémorial aura un impact encore plus grand sur le présent et sur l'avenir, lorsqu'il parviendra à transmettre cette réalité aux jeunes générations. Lorsque le mémorial parviendra à s'enrichir de cette histoire, des héros oubliés ou volontairement ensevelis surgiront, qui parviendront à se voir reconnus la place qu'ils méritent dans la mémoire collective. Ainsi, nos enfants ne fréquenteront plus seulement des lycées Colbert, du nom du concepteur du Code noir, mais aussi des lycées perpétuant le nom de tous ceux qui, durant des siècles, ont résisté aux pressions du lobby colonial et aux puissances d'argent pour, notamment, dans les parlements, faire appliquer la loi, c'est-à-dire le droit naturel de tout être humain à la liberté.
Voilà, c'était les propos de Martin en octobre 2012 à Nantes, et c'est dans le contexte après la visite du mémorial de Nantes. Et nous avons reçu l'année dernière, le 23 août, journée de bois caïman, nous avons reçu la famille Okeke et puis Uzoma aussi qui faisait partie et qui ont visité ce lieu-là, et qui sont aussi allés voir le square Toussaint l'Ouverture. Nous poursuivons nos actions comme le grand frère nous a aussi propulsés, et nous produisons des petits documents. Donc, le 10 mai dernier, nous avons sorti lors d'une web TV un document où Martin s'exprime à l'intérieur. Donc, on vous enverra les liens, et nous espérons que d'ici là, nous allons pouvoir propulser Mire Production Images. C'est encore un peu lent, et c'est ce qui fait qu'on rame un petit peu pour faire en sorte que l'information aille au plus loin. C'est un travail militant. Merci à vous.
Merci, à bientôt.
Merci. Merci Peter, merci Rosita, merci pour votre intervention. Le grand travail que vous faites, ce n'est pas un travail que quelqu'un fait pour des raisons financières, c'est par passion pour l'humanité. C'est un sujet qui était au cœur Mr. Martin Okeke. So thank you for your support. Thank you. And if you can also drop some links, then we could also check your sites for those who can support you. This is something our beloved late Dr. Martin Okeke was very passionate about. So thank you very much. On a part of beaucoup de temps, so we'll move very fast to the next speaker, Dr. Maris Oguejiofor. I hope I've pronounced that very well. She's a specialist of emergency and disaster medicine in isolated areas across France. And so over to you, Dr. Maris, for your remarks and intervention.
Bonjour, bonjour tout le monde. Effectivement, c'était bien prononcé. Je m'appelle Dr. Maris Oguejiofor. Je suis médecin urgentiste. Je vais commencer par une petite présentation parce que c'est vrai que bon, là c'est la famille, hein, on se connaît tous. Mais effectivement, certains ne nous connaissent pas et donc c'est vraiment un honneur pour moi de pouvoir participer à cet hommage qu'on fait au docteur Okeke, pour qui j'ai eu beaucoup d'amour et beaucoup de respect. Donc voilà, je suis médecin urgentiste, je suis spécialisée en médecine d'urgence, SAMU, médecine extra-hospitalière. Je suis surtout spécialisée en médecine isolée. Donc voilà, j'ai eu la médecine isolée, c'est pas la médecine précaire, c'est vraiment la médecine où l'accès est compliqué, notamment l'Antarctique. J'ai fait quelques plateformes pétrolières. Des endroits classés dangereux, c'est des eaux, typiquement l'Amazonie guyanaise, l'Australie aborigène. Et voilà, on m'a demandé d'intervenir sur le Covid et l'Afrique, le Covid et la diaspora, et comment on pouvait apporter notre contribution aujourd'hui par rapport à notre expérience maintenant acquise. C'est un sujet effectivement qui aurait tenu à cœur au docteur Okeke, lui qui était très porté sur les innovations, les liens France-Afrique, les liens diaspora nigériane et Nigeria. Et c'est vrai que voilà, j'ai eu l'occasion de voyager au Nigeria quelques fois avec lui dans le cadre de programmes internationaux publicités par les présidents nigérians. Et c'est vraiment un plaisir pour moi de présenter ce sujet. Mon expérience Covid rapidement, bon, j'étais surtout à l'étranger jusqu'à maintenant sur cette spécialisation de médecine isolée. Je suis rentrée dans le cadre du Covid début 2021 quand la pandémie est partie. Donc voilà, j'ai fait part de mon expérience intra-hospitalière au SAMU 95, notamment à Pontoise, SAMU 93. En médecine intra-hospitalière, en renforcement des hôpitaux de la PHP. Et après un an d'expertise Covid, parce qu'effectivement, ça fait quand même 1 an et demi qu'on est dedans, voilà, j'ai fait part de mon expertise à La Réunion en août 2020. Et là, le dernier programme auquel j'ai participé, c'est Walsi Futuna en 2021 en Afrique. Donc, petit focus sur les statistiques Covid en France, hein, après un an d'expérience. Le Covid, quand même, dans le monde, c'est 174 millions de personnes infectées pour 3,7 millions de personnes décédées. En France, nous, on a subi 5,7 millions de personnes infectées, 111 000 morts. Et c'est similaire, en fait, à ce qui s'est passé en Afrique. Tout le continent africain représente à peu de choses près ce qui s'est passé en France seule. C'est-à-dire qu'en Afrique, maintenant, sur les dernières statistiques, on a 5,1 millions de personnes infectées, 137 000 morts. Donc, c'est vraiment similaire à ce que se passe en Afrique. En France, sur le plan de la vaccination, là, on est en train d'atteindre 50% de la population qui a déjà reçu une dose. Il y a 25% de la population qui a eu un schéma vaccinal complet, donc les 2 doses, ou sinon, les personnes qui ont déjà été infectées ont reçu au moins une dose qui leur fait un schéma vaccinal complet. Après, il faut quand même préciser que les méthodes de prévention sont vraiment les mesures phares. Donc, bon, rappel rapide, le masque, le lavage des mains, le gel hydroalcoolique, les distances de sécurité, les mouchoirs jetables, limiter en gros les réunions entre personnes, pas de bises, pas de serrage de main. On se confine quand on est infecté, on aère les pièces, on vaccine à fond et surtout, on dépiste de façon précoce pour pouvoir confiner de façon efficace. Maintenant, on va faire un peu plus sur l'Afrique et le Covid. L'Afrique, après l'Océanie, de façon étonnante, c'est le continent qui a été le moins touché au final par le Covid. Je rappelle les chiffres, 5 millions de personnes infectées, 137 000 décès, seulement ce qui se passe en France de façon isolée. Quand on fait un focus pays par pays, le pays le plus touché, c'est l'Afrique du Sud, avec 1,7 million de touchés, 58 000 décès, suivi par le Maroc, la Tunisie. Et bon, je suis obligée de m'intéresser au Nigeria. Au Nigeria, il y a eu 167 000 personnes infectées pour à peine 2 000 morts. Ce qui est assez impressionnant pour la puissance démographique que représente le Nigeria. On remarque qu'au final, les pays les plus infectés, ce sont les pays du Maghreb, donc les pays de l'Afrique du Nord. Est-ce que le lien avec l'Europe qui a été particulièrement touchée fait que la prévalence a été forte? Et l'Afrique du Sud, là, on ne peut pas nier le fait qu'il y ait eu un variant sud-africain. Et quand on regarde au final la chronologie du Covid en Afrique, il y a eu 3 vagues. Nous, on a eu 2 vagues. On a eu la première vague qui a fait énormément de morts et un répit en été, et puis la deuxième vague à la rentrée 2020 qui, on a l'impression, atteint un plateau maintenant. En Afrique, c'est différent. La première vague, elle a été décalée, c'était en juillet 2020. Après, on a eu un plateau vers octobre. Deuxième vague en février 2021 et un plateau jusqu'à maintenant. Mais là, on a l'impression, au final, depuis les 2 dernières semaines, il y a 15% de plus, que ce soit de personnes infectées ou de personnes décédées. Et donc, du coup, voilà, il y a une 3e vague qui est en train de partir, là, de façon imminente en Afrique. Et on met vraiment tous nos radars dessus en ce moment. Les variants qu'on a, nous, en France, c'est surtout le variant britannique, alors que les variants en Afrique, c'est le variant sud-africain, le variant britannique qui est aussi prédominant. À moindre dose, le variant indien, mais qui est en train de bien monter, là. Et puis, bon, de façon anecdotique, le variant nigérian, le variant camerounais, si on peut dire. Mais voilà, ils sont moindres. Bon, cela dit, les statistiques ne sont pas forcément faites de la même manière. Les problématiques statistiques, c'est vraiment ça, c'est que le nombre de cas diagnostiqués représente une fraction, je pense, qui est minime par rapport au nombre réel de vaccinations. Les politiques de test et les capacités de dépistage, ils sont différents d'un pays à l'autre. Donc, pour donner des chiffres vrais, c'est vraiment compliqué. Cette 3e vague, elle pose vraiment problème parce que l'Afrique, là, a priori, c'est le seul pays c'est le seul continent, je suis désolée, au monde où le Covid il continue à progresser alors qu'on a atteint un plateau partout. Et cette propagation, elle doit s'expliquer, je pense, par rapport aux difficultés du déploiement de la vaccination en Afrique. On voit qu'en Afrique, contrairement au reste du monde, il n'y a que 3% des personnes qui sont vaccinées, alors que dans le reste du monde, là, on dénombre facilement 30% des personnes qui sont vaccinées. La réponse mondiale pour le Covid en Afrique, c'est quoi? Il y a l'OMS et l'UNICEF et puis quelques contributeurs privés qui ont mis en place l'initiative COVAX. L'initiative COVAX, c'est quoi? C'est pour faire court, c'est les pays riches qui ont décidé de distribuer des vaccins aux pays pauvres. Ça devrait permettre d'endiguer un petit peu la progression de l'épidémie et de faire un stock d'urgence au cas où il y a une autre flambée de l'épidémie. Les premiers en Afrique qui ont bénéficié de cette initiative COVAX, c'est en mars 2021, là, le Ghana et la Côte d'Ivoire qui ont eu leur lot de vaccins et qui ont commencé à vacciner la population. Les vaccins, c'est surtout AstraZeneca. Est-ce que le fait que la France et les pays occidentaux ont baissé le recours à AstraZeneca, il y a quelque chose? On verra. Pfizer et Moderna sont beaucoup moins utilisés à cause des difficultés de conditionnement du prix de ces vaccins. Et puis, il y a déjà une pénurie dans les pays riches, donc je pense que voilà, ils gardent leur dose pour eux. Et là, le dispositif COVAX a accepté le vaccin russe et le vaccin chinois là, qui rentrent, qui vont être distribués rapidement là, pour la vaccination des Africains. Focus sur la vaccination en Afrique. Il y a beaucoup de réticences. il y a énormément de réticences. Il y a beaucoup d'Africains qui pensent encore que le Covid n'existe pas. Il y a beaucoup d'Africains qui considèrent que c'est un problème des autres pays, des pays occidentaux, que la pandémie elle a été exagérée dans le monde. Oh là là, quid sur toute la fausse information qui circule, qui vraiment fait du mal au final à la vaccination chez nous. Toutes ces fausses informations, le vaccin rend stérile, le vaccin est magnétique, on a tous vu ces vidéos où le téléphone reste aimanté sur le bras suite à la vaccination. Le vaccin contient une puce introduite par Bill Gates. Le vaccin et la 5G, l'altération de l'ADN pour baisser les populations africaines par le biais du vaccin. Voilà, toutes ces rumeurs, elles font beaucoup de mal parce que du coup, elles empêchent au final la diffusion du vaccin dans tous nos pays, même quand on a parfois accès au vaccin grâce à certains dispositifs. Et puis après, tout simplement, il y a beaucoup de personnes qui préfèrent au final se traiter naturellement par les méthodes locales quand elles sont infectées par le Covid. Et c'est ce que le Madagascar avait décidé de faire initialement via son remède par les plantes. Les conséquences, au final, de toutes ces réticences au vaccin, c'est que, on va prendre quelques exemples. Au Congo, ce sont les expats, au final, qui profitent des doses de vaccination qui sont arrivées parce que les locaux, en fait, ils ne veulent pas se faire vacciner, tout simplement. Au Malawi, pour la première fois au monde, il y a des doses de vaccins qui ont été jetées parce qu'elles se sont périmées. Et il y a 20 000 doses qui, là, en mai 2021, voilà, ont été gâchées. C'est dommage. Donc, les réactions de l'Afrique face au Covid, l'Afrique, elle cumule quand même les facteurs de risque d'exacerbation de la pandémie. Parce qu'on ne peut pas négliger la pauvreté, la densité urbaine chez nous, l'exposition prévalente aux maladies infectieuses et l'accès limité aux soins. Cependant, la fermeture des frontières et le confinement, elles n'ont pas forcément marché. Ça a été limite délétère chez nous parce que il y a eu un nombre non négligeable de populations qui sont tributaires des marchés, de l'import-export et des déplacements qui leur permettent de subsister. Donc, le type en fait, de réaction qu'on a eu ici à titre de confinement, immédiat, fermeture des frontières, ça n'a pas forcément été adapté au final à au recours dont on avait besoin chez nous. Dans l'immédiat, les réactions des gouvernements, dans l'idéal, ça serait de se concentrer là tout de suite, en premier lieu, sur les mesures pour éviter la propagation du virus. Donc, investir en fait dans les mécanismes de détection précoce, les tests PCR, les tests au final qu'on a ici, antigéniques. À court terme, faut absolument soutenir les PME, les ménages, les travailleurs, enfin toutes ces économies vulnérables pour ne pas avoir en fait une crise liée au Covid chez nous. À moyen terme, il faut renforcer les systèmes de santé et ça passera forcément par là, renforcer la protection sociale pour pouvoir en fait ne pas se prendre une vague Covid et qu'il y ait beaucoup de conséquences sanitaires. Et à long terme, pourquoi pas ne pas investir dans la recherche, l'innovation, développer notre propre vaccin africain, trouver même, je ne sais pas pourquoi pas un traitement qui serait efficace contre le Covid et qui ne dépendrait pas de toutes ces initiatives extérieures comme le COVAX qu'on a jusqu'à maintenant. Pour finir, au final, le temps passe et ce sujet passionnant, au final, je pourrais en parler des heures. Notre rôle, nous, la diaspora, dans cette épidémie par rapport à l'Afrique, qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire? Je pense que on est toujours en train d'apprendre, hein, que ce soit ici, et on ne peut pas reprocher au final au continent africain de ne pas être en ligne de mire sur la prise en charge du Covid, parce que nous-mêmes ici, on est toujours en train de découvrir, on est toujours en train d'apprendre, on est toujours en train de se battre contre le Covid, et au fur et à mesure, au final, on adapte nos protocoles de prise en charge et nos thérapeutiques contre le Covid. Mais rien que l'information de nos proches en Afrique, je pense qu'elle pourrait nous faire beaucoup de bien. La lutte contre les fausses croyances, et puis même, enfin, ça fait quand même 1 an et demi qu'on est dedans, donc apporter notre expertise, nous, par rapport à tout ce qu'on a déjà vécu là pendant 1 an et demi, et leur apporter toutes ces informations pour que du coup, ils n'aient pas à subir au final les vagues et toutes ces adaptations, et qu'ils bénéficient directement de l'expérience qu'on a eue ici. Ça serait pas mal aussi de soutenir les acteurs locaux en faisant des colloques, des webinars, des conférences, et je trouve que rien que cette initiative, là, aujourd'hui, elle est super, et du coup, tout le monde peut au final avoir des informations nouvelles et les partager. Ce qui serait pas mal aussi, un peu à l'instar de ce qui est fait entre la France et les dom-tom, c'est faire une collaboration diaspora, médecins de la diaspora et médecins locaux pour pouvoir échanger, faire des protocoles qui seraient adaptés au final à la réalité du terrain africain, des protocoles de prise en charge qui incluent toute la thérapeutique locale et l'état de l'épidémie actuelle en Afrique, qui est vraiment différent de ce qui se passe maintenant en France. Donc voilà, c'était ma petite contribution, Covid et diaspora, Covid et Afrique. Je vous invite à tous bien vous protéger, à tous faire attention à vous, faire attention à vos proches, et voilà, et continuer à échanger les informations que vous avez sur le Covid, et que ce soit ici, que ce soit là-bas. Et voilà, c'est vraiment un honneur en tout cas d'avoir pu commémorer la mémoire de ton pays. Okeke.
Merci beaucoup. Merci, Maris. Thank you so much. Merci pour votre intervention. Yes, I mean, you touched on many parts, and I think this is what gives, what would have given Dr. Mettre Okeke joy to see the likes of Dr. Henry, a diaspora member, making high impact in the health sector, and exactly what you're doing. And you've touched on very different areas: innovation, fake news, government intervention, the role of the diaspora, and all of this. And also just to mention, that in Nigeria, as much as, people are still partying about, and some will get to wonder, is there really COVID? But also, we must also put to the front line that there is lack of resources. We walked into France and the vaccine testing is free. As a matter of fact, if you want to leave Nigeria now to France, the cost of the vaccine test back and forth probably will be even almost equating to your flight tickets. And once you even get there, you still go for isolation in the government center, so many. And so that's just to put in perspective that back at home in Africa, there's still work to be done. It's not free. It's, people have to pay through their nose for tests. And we're talking about people who are still living probably on less than $1 a day. So many things are still wrong, but thank you for the hard work. I was hoping, because I know you are involved in emergency medicine and disaster, I was hoping that while this is going on, they will call you with a helicopter to come to North. I'm happy that there was no emergency within the time frame of your slot and intervention, so you were here, because anything can happen. That's your work. So I wonder how you even sleep sometimes. So thank you, thank you. We're going to go to the last part, and then we'll open the floor for contributions before we call it a day. So I'll be bringing on board somebody also very close to the house. Is a contributor, Dimitri. Dimitri, un ami ou un collaborateur aussi avec sa plateforme Connecting, Networking. Il met en valeur les opportunités économiques du content africain. Il met en relation différents partenaires. Je suis très heureux d'avoir été son premier collaborateur en mettant le Nigeria sur le projecteur au début de cette année. So I'm very proud that with your work, we're the first who partnered with you. And today he's done things around Ghana, showcasing Ghana's economic potential, Ethiopia, Kenya. While we're all still on the lockdown, and I'm happy to invite him. He's the president of ADRNS. And in a few minutes also, he will be making his remarks on how he as a diaspora is spotlighting the power of the diaspora and also demonstrating the economic potential of Africa and ensuring that it's a win-win between European stakeholders and African stakeholders. Bienvenue, Dimitri. Please take the floor.
Okay. Merci Abiodun. Merci Dr. Igah. Merci Dr. Salomon for the invitation. Now I'm going to turn into English because I prepared my presentation. So I'm going to share my screen. Why I'm here. I'm here because we want to pay tribute to an important man, Dr. Martin Okeke. I have to be honest, I didn't know him. So I asked Dr. Igah, can I just tell me a few words about him? So when Dr. Igah told me what he did, I can just sum up 4 things. The first one is a promoter, because he was the first who created NIDOE with Dr. Igah and Dr. Salomon. He was an organizer, somebody who wants to gather people and to, just make people happy. And he created, the week of the cultural week of Nigeria with the UNESCO. And he was somebody who was a determined man, a man of justice, who wanted to fight for others. That's why he was involved in the MIA, International Movement of Reparation. And last, I noticed that we can already be on the benefits of his legacy when you can see what happened with Germany and what it happened in Alabama. So this is why I can, just get from what he did and what's inspired me to carry on what I'm doing. I am concerned too because I am involved. My name is Dimitri from Mutiti. I was born in Congo, Pointe-Noire. And Pointe-Noire, it's in Luango. It was a port of embarkation of the slaves. And this port is inscribed in the indicative list of the World Heritage in Humanity since 2008. So this is, part of history where my my city of born is linked to his work, because many people were bring to America, Martinique, Guadeloupe, etc. So that's why I'm here, because I'm concerned and I'm involved. The theme today's of the Memorial Conference is leveraging on diaspora resources for African sustainable development. First of all, I want to say that it's possible. I'm going to take 2 examples. The first one, South Korea. Just back in 1962, a true story, that South Korea, which was like many African countries some times ago. In 1962, the General Park, Chang-hee, brought together the executive of this country and gave them this speech. We will not be able to develop our country without our diaspora. Do you agree that we can appeal, list, and increase the latter so that we can benefit from their experience, skills, and thus allow them to come and contribute to recovery of the country? All the executives all agreed, and that's how South Korea has developed with its diaspora. Today, South Korea is a country that has produced the first competitor of the American telephone brand, And I think every country would like to have someone like the General Park. I can't agree with what he's done in his life, but just to get this idea to involve the diaspora, I think it's going to be great if every president in Africa can speak like that, make an appeal for the diaspora to come and build the country. The second example, the Rwanda. This is an event took place in February, just engaging Rwanda diaspora talent in the development of Rwanda. So it's possible, we have many examples in history that tell us that we can count on the diaspora. Dr. Igah said that the money transfer by diaspora was huge, and each year we have $62 billion for the remittance to Africa. And the question is, how can we turn these resources into productive investment? Because all the money that we send to Africa is just, for living, help our family, help our children, help our cities, our township. And how can we deal with this money just to turn it into productive investment? This is a big question. The challenges for 2030 is huge in Africa. We know that the agriculture, the revenue of the market will bring $1,000 billion in 2030. So digital and services is going to be $80 to $100 billion. And to build Africa, to help Africa, to have the standard of the European country, we need $1,080 billion to construct Africa with road, with railways, with infrastructure, everything like that. And we know that the market grow each year 4% because we have 54 countries in Africa. So it is a good opportunity for many many countries if they want to develop their company. And we have a big market because we're going to have 1.5 billion inhabitants in 2030, and in 2050, 2.5 billion. So this is a huge market and a young market. And the other problem and the other opportunities, we can turn it into opportunities, is we have a lot of jobs to create. In 2022, many young people are going to finish their studies, and after that, what are they going to do? So we have a lot of things to do. That's why our solution, Continental Working, we have created a hybrid platform for accelerating with high added value your trade and investment in Africa. Our proposition value is 1 day per month. We put one country in spotlight with 4 highlights. We talk about opportunities in each country. We talk about agriculture. We talk about industry. We talk about digital and services. And we talk about how to settle in the country, the legal, the tax, just to help people to get in the country. Abiodun says that we start with Nigeria. Thank you very much, Abiodun, for being with us, for trusting with us. And in January, we start with the connecting days with Nigeria. In February, we've made Senegal. In March, Rwanda. April, we made Morocco. And we made in May, Ghana. And this 2 days ago, we met Ethiopia. This is, a program that we consider a unique program because we get focused on just one country. Many meetings in France, when they take 2 hours speaking Africa, the things they talk about all the Africa. And our point of view is to take, our time to just be focused on one country and help people to get all the information before going in the country and meet people before going in the country. And I have a dream, just to finish. I think Dr. Martin Okeke will agree with his dream, because what give me, the passion and the aim to carry on is this dream. My dream for Africa. This is a story of an African man going to work in the morning, wakes up, turns off his alarm clock made in Rwanda, comes out of the sheet woven in Ethiopia, puts on his clothes made in Tunisia, drinks his orange juice from Morocco, puts milk from Cameroon, and its coffee produced in Ivory Coast, all bought from a large African supermarket. He jumps in his Nigerian car to get to the local gas station. He fills up and takes his Senegalese phone made in Congo and pays in a Kenyan payment system. At noon, after his office, he joined his friend to go to eat. Going to the restaurant, he hit a cheb made with a Malian rice, and after spending his money in the evening, he discussed with his friend to rejoice in the development of African continent. We have to do all our product by ourselves. This is a key. This is my dream for Africa. Thank you very much.
Wow, wow. Bravo. Thank you so much, Dimitri, for that spot-on presentation. And yes, like I said, thank you for letting us know that it is not, you cannot finish African discussion in one day. As a matter of fact, you cannot even finish Lagos discussion in 3 days. We have some state governors who will come to France and they can be here for 1 week. So how much more Nigeria? And then in 2 hours, the whole of Africa is discussed. I mean, Dr. Igah will agree with me that you're on track for taking 1 country per month. And so thank you so much. I also want to recognize in the house one of the patron for organization, Friends of Nigeria. She's part of the people who lead the foundation for what some of us who are young are doing with respect to diaspora engagement. And that is no other person than Madam Princess Aramdik Badamosi. She's there quietly, just joining quietly, but also has been sending some chats. And she's one person who is also very much engaged in all that we're discussing. And she's part of obviously Dr. Okeke group too for his legacy projects. Thank you, Ma, for joining. So without, also want to say thank you also to behind the scene. Also, I have my sister, Ijoma Roslyn Okeke, who is also behind the technical capability. So it's not just me alone, but we're working together to make this go seamlessly. And she's just behind the scene. Thank you so much, Ijoma Roslyn, for the support. And so I want to make the room open up for contributions and for comments. Before we start bringing the close, we have just 2 more parts and they're very important. But before that, we'd like to make the room open. And just before that, if you want to speak so that we can maintain orderliness, I would ask that we all, raise our hands. There's a button that you can use to showcase that you want to speak. And so if you're able to raise your hands, I'll call on you, and then you unmute yourself, and then you make your remarks as brief as possible. And if it's a question to any of the speakers, from Dr. Igah to Dimitri, to Dr. Mary's, to Dr. Henry, all of them, they'll be happy to answer you. So by show of hands, there's a button where you just have to raise your hand so that we don't have to, make too much noise. I can now call you, you mute yourself, you make your remarks, and then we can go to the next person. So the room is open for comments, for contributions. As Professor Igah mentioned, it's a collective discussion. Yeah, it's everyone together. So anyone who wants to go first before we have our facilitators? Yes, I have, I don't know if it's a madam or a Mr. Inam Akrasi. Please introduce yourself and then make your comments. Thank you. Inam Akrasi, please go ahead. You have to unmute yourself and just unmute your mic. And
then... sorry, that's what I didn't do. My name is Inam Akrasi. I just want to thank you very much for this event. Those who have been involved in the Nigerian section of diaspora know very well that Dr. Okeke played a very important role. I know we traveled together in the year 2000 to London to see President Obasanjo's interest discussion with the diaspora. That's how we came back to France to set up the diaspora, the section in France. And as a matter of fact, it is a big honor because I know how much Martin was involved in anything diaspora and how much those of us who were directly with him labored for this. So it is a very useful memorial and souvenir that we can offer him, an honor we can offer him even though he's no longer with us, to continue this type of events. And I thank the speakers very well because they really made points that were very important in the whole process of this remembrance and the contribution that the diaspora can make for Africa's advancement. So thank you very much, and may God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I retract my words. You know, Zoom has a way of not letting us know who your grandparents are, or your fathers, or your mother. So now that you mentioned Mr. Martins, that you called him by first name, you mentioned Dr. Igah, and now I have to call you Sir Inam Akrasi, you know, so that we don't use technology to show that we don't have respect. If I'd seen your video, that I've known you're also one of our grand patrons. So happy to hear your contribution, sir. Thank you for all the good work that you've done and laid the foundation for young ones like us to also be able to contribute to Nigeria's development. So if any other person is talking, I can also put on your video if it's possible. It would be nice, so I can give respect and honor. So honor is the, you know, our Twitter generation. Okay, I have who else wants to contribute? By show of hands, I can call you.
Maybe we can call on Barrister. I think Barrister Serge Wakura is on board, and he probably will want to put in a few words for us and for his organization.
Barrister Serge, are you there, sir? I'm not sure what he's named as. Yes.
Yes, I'm on board, and thank you for the floor. Just few words, and I will switch in French, not because I cannot explain in English, but I think my French words will be more precise. Merci beaucoup pour cette invitation. Mon nom est Serge Bakoa, je suis le président du Conseil des diasporas africaines de France, qui a été créé il y a quelques années avec, entre l'Association des élus camerounais et NIDOE. NIDOE avec Solomon Ogbanji et d'autres membres du NIDOE. Nous sommes partis du constat qu'il y a plein d'associations de diaspora qui existent et elles font de très belles choses, ça c'est sûr, mais il n'y a pas une sorte de, il n'y avait pas une sorte de umbrella organizations qui pourrait faire le lobbying auprès des institutions publiques françaises. C'est vraiment ça notre objectif, l'objectif du CEDAF. C'est ne pas faire ce que les associations des pays par centre d'intérêt font déjà, mais prendre tout ce matériau et en faire un outil de lobbying auprès des institutions publiques ici en France, parce qu'on a bien remarqué que c'est le leverage au niveau justement institutionnel qui fait défaut aux diasporas. Je vais prendre un exemple. La précédente présentation nous a parlé de comment peut-on transformer tous les investissements que la diaspora fait vers l'Afrique en investissements productifs. Parce que c'est ça la vraie question. L'argent que nous déversons sur le continent va dans nos familles, à la consommation courante. Mais cet argent ne part pas à l'investissement et l'Afrique ne peut se développer que par l'investissement, que ce soit la Chine, que ce soit l'Inde, que ce soit la Corée, le Singapour, tous ces pays ont pu se développer très rapidement parce que la diaspora, que ce soit Israël, ils ont pu se développer parce que la diaspora a massivement investi dans les secteurs productifs de leur pays. Et c'est notre cas ici. C'est ce qu'on doit faire pour la France. Donc, pour cela, le lobbying que nous faisons auprès des institutions françaises, de leur dire que vous avez en France 2 produits qui existent et que beaucoup de gens ne connaissent pas. Et le livret d'épargne co-développement, qui ont été créés à l'époque par Nicolas Sarkozy quand il était président de la République, qui permettent d'obtenir une déduction fiscale à condition que l'argent qui est placé et qui produit la déduction fiscale en France serve des projets d'investissement dans des pays en Afrique. Et ces pays, c'est le Nigeria, c'est le Cameroun, c'est le Tchad, c'est l'ensemble de ces différents pays. Donc, notre rôle, c'est de faire l'advocacy auprès de Bercy, auprès du Quai d'Orsay, auprès justement du CPA, avec qui nous sommes en relation à l'Élysée, en leur disant, mais ce n'est pas la peine de nous inventer des choses ou de nous promettre des choses et de ne pas réaliser ce qui existe déjà dans vos propres dispositifs ici. Mettez simplement à disposition des diasporas ces outils financiers et les diasporas vont faire le travail. Ça, c'est un exemple. Le deuxième exemple, et ça, je remercie Maryse pour sa belle présentation. Elle a vraiment tout résumé concernant le Covid. On l'a fait aussi, le Covid. Qu'est-ce qu'on a fait? On a fait le plaidoyer des diasporas africaines contre la lutte contre le Covid-19 en disant, bon, voilà ce que les diasporas africaines de France pensent sur le Covid. Et les diasporas, c'est qui? C'est les médecins, c'est les aides-soignants, c'est les ambulanciers. Voilà ce qu'elles pensent sur tous les aspects sociaux, les aspects médicaux, et voici ce qu'on propose. Donc, on a fait justement ce plaidoyer-là qui a eu un énorme succès. On l'a fait avec NIDOE, ça a très bien marché. Ça a eu un tel succès que le CPA nous a demandé de travailler avec eux maintenant sur des projets de Covid qui seraient financés par Bercy. On a fait les projets, on leur a présenté et on attend toujours justement ces financements. Dernier exemple, et je vais arrêter là. En mars 2019, quand on a lancé le grand débat national en France, nous avons considéré avec NIDOE qu'il est impossible qu'on lance en France un grand débat national et que les diasporas ne disent rien. Les diasporas qui font partie de la France. Donc, on a organisé la rencontre des diasporas africaines au grand débat national. Ça a fait l'objet d'un rapport qui est sur le site internet de NIDOE. Si vous allez sur le site internet de NIDOE, vous allez voir le rapport en français et en anglais. Parce que tout ce qu'on fait, c'est dans les deux langues. C'est en français et c'est en anglais. Ça a été remonté. Et justement, c'est tout ce travail qui fait aujourd'hui qu'au niveau des institutions françaises, le Conseil des diasporas africaines de France est considéré parmi justement des organisations qui sont reconnues comme faisant l'advocacy pour le compte des diasporas. Pas pour venir faire ce que les organisations des diasporas font déjà, mais pour rappeler aux institutions publiques françaises que ce que les diasporas font, il faut que vous en teniez compte. Donc voilà très rapidement justement ce que je pouvais dire à ce sujet. Et je vous remercie tous pour votre écoute.
Wow, thank you so much, sir, Barrister, for that important and thought-reflecting intervention. I have, I think, Mr. Orimoloye, are you able to comment now? He's been chatting with me privately that he's having problems with his audio, but he came on video. Yes, Mr. Orimoloye, no, we can't hear you. Can you unmute yourself? Oh, no. There's a sign that says you're still muted. So we can't hear you from here. If it's possible, if you can, yes, because it's showing red that you have a phone sign. So you have to unmute yourself, but
il faut qu'il fasse dièse 6 pour le téléphone.
Yes. Can you, okay. Can you stop because it's not showing even the microphone, it's showing a telephone. I think your telephone is, you're using your telephone for something. I know you're speaking, but we can't hear you. Yes. Okay, while we sort that out, I think Oguejiofor Okeke raised her hand. She can go take the floor now.
Alors, bonjour tout le monde. Hello everyone. I wanted to speak as well in English and in French because so that everyone can understand. Donc, je vais parler à la fois en français et en anglais pour que tout le monde puisse comprendre. J'aurais aimé, comment dire, j'aurais aimé parler un petit peu de Tonton Martin et de son combat, pardon. So I wanted to speak about my uncle and his battle. I wanted to say that he was a scientist and he was a visionary. So, donc c'était un scientifique et un visionnaire. And scientists are not the, they are not only the people in white that are in the hospitals and stuff. There are also people that, well, science is knowledge. Donc comment dire, la science, c'est la connaissance. And I wanted to say that knowledge is what can help us know where we're from and where we are going. What did I want to say? I know that our traditions have been modified with Christianism and Islam and stuff, and we need to know where we are from, to know where we're going, and to know how can we develop Africa as diasporans and as Africans. Donc, je vais revenir en français. Donc, la connaissance, c'est ce qui va nous permettre de savoir d'où nous venons et de savoir où est-ce que nous allons en tant qu'Africains et en tant que venant de la diaspora, parce que, excusez-moi, parce que c'est un peu un discours panafricain, mais, excusez-moi, c'est un peu un discours panafricain, mais les religions nous ont un petit peu détournés de ce qu'on savait faire avant, et ne nous permettent pas de nous connaître en tant qu'Africains. So that's why you will hear in Africa that when you want to go there, people will have a bad vision about Africa. They will always say that no, there is war, there are rapists, there are kidnappers, there is this and that and this and that. And people in diaspora wouldn't want to go back to Africa to do some things to change the continent. And that's why I wanted to say that my uncle was a person that tried to gather people because we know that we are too much divided. When you see, for example, a Senegalese, you will say, oh, he's Senegalese, he's like this. And oh, this one is from Mali, he's like that. And this one is from there, he's like this and stuff. We should stop doing this and we should gather as one people, because we have to know that our countries were built, I think it was with the conference of Berlin. That's when they have separated us. So we should stop saying that he's from Cameroon, he's from this, he's from that. We should all see ourselves as Africans and grow together and, avoir une vision, have a vision together to grow and for that, so that people abroad, like in Europe or in America, they should stop seeing us as divided people that you can manipulate, but they should see us as one and as a strong people. So that's what I wanted to say about my uncle. He was fighting for this, and I think we should continue this by mingling and discussing with other people from other countries in Africa, and stop having a bad vision about ourselves as Africans and as Black people. So that's why I wanted to say thank you. J'espère que vous avez compris en français, mais en gros, pour aller très vite, je disais qu'on devait arrêter de se séparer, de dire que lui, il est de tel pays, lui, il est de tel pays, et avoir ces stéréotypes ces gens fonctionnent comme ça, ils sont pas de notre, on n'a pas les mêmes valeurs, etc. Nous sommes tous africains. On a été séparés avec la conférence, je crois, de Berlin. Je veux pas dire de bêtises. Je crois que c'est la conférence de Berlin qui a fait que nous soyons séparés, mais nous sommes tous un peuple et nous devons avancer ensemble. Nous devons avoir la même vision et grandir ensemble. Donc ce serait bien qu'on parle tous ensemble, qu'on s'accepte tous. Et voilà, c'est peut-être un discours un petit peu panafricaniste, mais je sais que mon oncle en était un. Il se revendiquait panafricaniste et je pense que ce serait bien de continuer son combat. Donc voilà, merci à tous.
Thank you so much, Joma. I think, yeah, having to hear from somebody who did not just relate professionally with late Dr. Martin Okeke, but you are part of his family and his blood. And so for you to mention that is what he lived by, his code of conduct, I think it was worth hearing that from somebody on the inside. Thank you for making that remarks. Is Mr. Orimoloye now able to speak? It's the same. Yes, we still can't hear you. We can't hear you at all, sir. We can't. No, we can't hear you. We can't. No, we can't hear you, sir. Okay, while that is happening, maybe what I would do is there's something very important. We have just 2 more items and then we're almost towards the wrapping. There's an important guest in the house, but I will not be able to do the honors of introducing him. And I'll let Dr. Igah do the honors of telling us who he is and so that he can give the remarks. Dr. Igah, sir.
Are you saying it's time to present our guest from Luxembourg?
Exactly, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, the moderator, Abiodun Odunuga, is referring to engineer Philip Uzoma Nganyadi. He's based in Luxembourg. I see just at the time we are trying to introduce him, somebody has phoned him, so he's holding his phone, but I'm sure he's listening. He was a very, very close person to Dr. Martin Okeke. They were really close pals. They were companions. We can say they were life companions. In a certain sense, we can even say they were at a point comrades in arms and went through the challenges of civil war in Nigeria, ended up in Europe, and moved on together to become each person a very, very great personality. So Engineer Nganyadi is very, very a strong person, very well known. He's written books on this civil strife in Nigeria that are reference books. Very, very close personality to Dr. Martin Okeke. Probably we can say both of them were like 2 sides of the same coin. So we really thank him. They are contemporaries, even in age. Dr. Martin left us 2 years ago at the age of 72, and really he's on board here as our very, very senior brother, and we thank him for honoring us with his presence. He's been here from the first minute, and he's there. So we really thank you, Engineer Philip, big brother. And I think, is it like you would want to take his remarks at this point?
Yes, yes, sir.
Ok, ok. Donc, grand frère, apparemment, l'auditoire serait très heureux d'écouter quelques remarques de votre part. Merci beaucoup d'être là avec nous dès la première minute.
Merci. Merci. Mr. Odunuga, is it possible for me to speak now, or do I have to wait for you to make some comments?
It's your turn, sir.
Okay. Thank you very, very much, everybody here. Sigam, Enam, Professor Igah, Ijoma. By the way, Ijoma, you are right. It was the Scramble for Africa conference in Berlin in 1884-85. So your remarks on Berlin conference was very correct. It was Berlin, but that's by the side. So I think I'm very, very privileged, and I feel honored, and I share this honor with Martin wherever he is, that we remember him today. So much has been said that I prepared to talk about, and I would not want to take us back to be repeating it, but I will just touch on them to remind us of the good things, the good initiatives, and all the things that we still have to do that have been said today. We've talked about NIDOE, we've talked about Mettre, we talk of Abiola, the connection of Abiola and Martin. Very, very little of us know this was the case, and many Africans don't know the cause of Abiola's death. It was because he had in his topest priority program, reparations. So, building bridges, Martin was a big builder, big architecture in constructing bridges, bringing people together. I remember when we were in London with Obasanjo when NIDOE was created. Inam Akrasi could confirm this. Solomon, you know, it was a very, very productive meeting, and it carried on into France and to many other areas. So all the things that have been talked about, remittance, Osuji's inputs, Dr. Emmanuel Igah's reference on the remittances that go to Africa and what they are used for. And then we realized that we still have a long way to go. Education, awareness building, all these, the critical success factors of the diaspora intervention on the continent, all these need a platform. They need a base. These things you guys have said today are indeed aspirations of Martin while he was alive. I remember sitting with him discussing nights long on all these points, but the question is, how do we get there? We need a base. And irrespective of whether we are putting our heads in the sand and not working together, there are examples out there to show that we are not reinventing the wheel. Others have done it. Israel is a very good example of what diaspora can do and make it function. We are living it today. This is a country that is the Middle East, but it's being counted as a European country. They play football with Europeans. They don't play with the Arab and Asia League, the competition. So you can see what the diaspora can do, and especially the Jewish diaspora in America, what they have been able to achieve. And this is what Africa can do. When I look at Dimitri's presentation and his work, these are things we discussed with Martin years and years ago, try to put it on, connections. We sit down, we talked about the Igah project. How could Africa be power independent by building up in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Igah Dam project? How could this be put in place? We talked about waste to energy projects in Nigeria, most especially, and he created links through Obasanjo, Mo Balaji, and what's this guy's name in Ondo, the governor, to get this done. Unfortunately, all these ideas and references were not realized. Why I say we need a base to succeed. Dimitri called it lobby, and I think our friend Serge talked in that direction too. We need a base. We need 4 solid bases for our system in Africa to function, and that is why we're always left behind. Osuji mentioned the micro interventions of creating 1 job, 2 jobs, and 3 jobs. This is fantastic. But at the end of the day, when the chips begin to fall, you are pushed at the corner of a table when discussions and decisions are made, because you are an individual and you cannot make an impact as an individual. You can only make an impact as a group. That's why you have lobby groups, you have these groups, you have that group. And if you look at the international scene, you see what is happening there. You realize that Africa is become irrelevant. The recent G7 meeting showed that we only had Ramaphosa there, but he was not on the front line. So when those sit on the table, they give us the side chairs and the side tables to sit on, and we don't participate. And this happened because we don't have property rights in our system. I'm talking about Africa, from Cape to Cairo, you know, from Gambia to Somalia. We don't have independent justice systems. Look at what is happening in Cameroon, in Nigeria right now. We don't have law and order, and we have a bunch of qualified manpower, both in diaspora and at home, who can commit to make Africa a different place. With the putting in place of the Continental Free Trade Area, there are bunches of opportunities that have opened up, but we seem to be, and this is what Martin has been fighting for, to inspire, to create, to apply creative destruction, to change our paradigms on how we want to get things done. We in the diaspora can make a difference. And a bunch of you have heard about the mosquito theory. As tiny as the mosquito is, if it is in your room while you are asleep, it makes a difference in your sleep. Because it buzzes into your ears and you clap to the right and you clap to the left and you never catch it. So I believe the diaspora can make a difference if we really unite, love ourselves, contribute, move one step further from Mr. Osuji's micro intention and contribute as a group to build. We can create what you would call a diaspora talent data sheet, where we can fall back to collect, to recuperate, to find out who is who, to avoid recreating the wheel and get things done. Sure, Peter Lema mentioned about the European Union, the date of the 19th of June. It's a very important date because 19th of June, 1865, slavery indeed was abolished. But is slavery abolished even in Africa, in Mauritania, in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Ivory Coast, in Togo? So what are we talking about? The European Union, of course, called slavery and colonization crime against humanity in June 2020. It was right, European Parliament rather. But at the end of the day, this same European Union supports France in France's atrocities in the 14 French-speaking African countries, where revenues are extorted from the governments of up to $400 to $500 billion per year. The European Union benefits from it, and France will be the poorest country compared to Chad, Tunisia, and to other African states if these revenues were not coming in from Africa to France. Yet, nobody makes a statement about it. The diaspora doesn't talk about it because we are afraid of what we are going through. So basically, we have enough to do. We have a bunch of work to do, and many of you are already involved. Look at what Mali is doing. Look at what Dimitri has done, Osuji, Professor Igah, and the rest of you. But there are still a bunch of people out there acting and working, toiling and striving, who don't have a way forward because they know nobody, because they know talents wasting, because we have a system where we as a people are divided. And this was the things Martins were working for, building bridges, bringing people together. And we should continue in this direction. It is never too late. Some of us may live to see the fruits of these endeavors, some may not. But don't forget, there is a garment all of us will wear sooner or later. Death is a garment all of us will wear. Martin is gone, but he is not gone. Permit me, if you may, to use this opportunity to read out a poem to you, which is from Charles Péguy, which I read out to my son when he passed on at the age of 27. And I would want to read this out to you all in memory of Martin. It is in French, and I think the majority of you speak French. So it goes like this. La mort n'est rien. Je suis seulement passé dans la pièce à côté. Je suis moi, vous êtes vous. Ce que j'étais pour vous, je le suis toujours. Donnez-moi, matin, le nom que vous m'avez toujours donné. Parlez-moi comme vous l'avez toujours fait. N'employez pas un ton différent. Ne prenez pas une air solennel ou triste. Continuez à rire de ce que nous faisait rire ensemble. Priez, souriez, pensez à moi matin. Priez pour moi. Quand mon nom soit prononcé à la maison, comme il a toujours été. Que mon nom, voilà, que mon nom soit prononcé à la maison, comme il a toujours été. Sans efface d'une aucune sorte, sans une trace d'ombre. La vie signifie tout ce qu'elle a toujours été. Le fil n'est pas coupé. Le fil entre nous n'est pas coupé. Pourquoi serais-je hors de vous penser? Simplement parce que je suis hors de votre vue. Je ne suis pas loin. Juste de l'autre côté du chemin. Je ne suis pas loin. Je suis juste de l'autre côté du chemin. I thought this poem I just read out in French, I don't know how much my French pronunciation was accommodating the message across to you guys, but I think it fits this occasion very well because we should talk to Martin as if he is sitting amongst us. And I do that. I must confess to you that I talk to him very often. I have continued the conversation that we've always had with him. Sometimes when I do my monologue, when I'm walking my dog in the city of Luxembourg, I have my monologues with him. How is it out there? How can we get in contact and do the things that we left to those of us who are still here to continue while you are doing yours out there? Maris can confirm the strains he went through. His adopted brother, Chukuma, who died a couple of years ago, 2 years before him, how he was, Malis and her parents, her father, Boniface Ogwike, and the mom were there supporting and caring and, and same to MMA and many other people who were around giving all the supports that they could. And he was at the forefront and we were trailing behind him. He introduced me to Chooks. Chooks came to Luxembourg, and when Chooks was sick, he was oftentimes in Luxembourg, and he was a very reliable person. Very, very reliable. I'm sorry taking on my time, but just one last episode, then I get going. When Chooks was dying, I was in the hospital in Brussels where he was dying, just the last minute he was dying. I got to the hospital at 11 o'clock, and the doctors told me he was going to pass away by 5 o'clock. That same day, that Saturday of October. I picked up my phone and called Martin. He was in Paris. I told him, this is the situation. I can't carry this alone. I want you here, whatever it is, whatever it takes, please come by my side. Within 3 hours, he was with me in the hospital in Brussels. Within 3 hours, he was there. I cried to him for help and he responded. He left everything he was doing in Paris, took the train, got there, took a taxi from the railway station, got to the hospital. We were there, and in the evening at 5 o'clock, we were sitting, I was narrating to him what has happened since 11 o'clock when I called him, and the nurse rushed into the room where we are and called both of us, please come, we think your friend is finally going. So we rushed into the room, and we were there, Martin and myself, when Jukes took his last breath. This is friendship. This is commitment. This is caring. This is being your brother's keeper. And he was that. He indeed was that. And this is how I know him. And he made me to know Ekrasi Inam. He made me to know Solomon. We talked so much about you oftentimes, Dr. Emmanuel Igah. He mentioned you so very oftentimes, but we never had the opportunity. And bunch of many others. Is it Sigam? Is it Fanta? Is it, who else are we talking about? So again, je ne suis pas loin. Je suis juste de l'autre côté du chemin. Talk to me as if I'm sitting around you. Thank you, guys, gentlemen. Thank you for organizing this. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, I think the gesture of everybody already speaks volume. We can't we can't demonstrate, how much this words means to us. It's like, I mean, it's as if we reserve the best for the last. And this is just a way to, to wrap it up. Before, I call on, I just wanted to mention that this, for me, also, everybody is going to go home with a new energy. There is something to think about. So it's a pleasure, sir, to, to draw from your wealth of wisdom. They call it the wisdom of the ancients. And so this is not rare speech. This is not public speaking 101. This is something coming from a wealth of of knowledge and also depth of passion. And this is you speaking straight to our hearts, that there is still so much work we can do. And the onus is on us to take all of these engagements beyond Zoom and see how we can continue the good work of our beloved late Dr. Martins Okeke. Thank you so much, sir, for pouring your heart. Thank you, Engineer Philip Uzoma in Ganyadi for doing justice to this. Thank you. That's all we can say. We are grateful. One comment before we have the vote of thanks. Mr. Rimoloye, are you able to speak now? I hope. I know you've been trying to speak, but no, we can't hear you still, unfortunately. No, I can see your mouth moving, but we can't hear you. Oh, no, we can't hear you, unfortunately. He's been trying, we've been going back and forth behind the scenes to get him to be able to speak. So unfortunately, I hope you'll be able to probably type your comments and maybe it can be read out before, yes, I can see even Madam Aramide saying, thank you for the poem. Thank you. Everybody's saying, thank you, sir, for doing justice to this theme. And I mean, best way to wrap up this event is to, get a word of thanks for everybody who has been part of it from A to Z, from somebody who also shares blood with our beloved late Dr. Martins Okeke. And this is no other person who...
Votre appel a été mis en attente.
Okay, I'm not sure where that is coming from.
Okay. Votre appel a été mis en attente.
I think that's from Mr. Rimoloye, but sorry about that. Yes, so we're gonna now invite, our late brother or uncle daddy's blood brother, Mr. Emmanuel Okeke, will give a vote of thanks, share his own comments, and then we'll close on that note. Over to you, Mr. Emmanuel Okeke. Thank you so much, sir. Yeah, you just have to unmute yourself, sir. Okay, you can speak now.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Loud and clear, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear, sir. Yes, sir. We can hear you.
Okay. I don't know if I can go in English or in French because most of the people, they don't speak English. So if you can permit me, I go in French.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Ok. Ok. Bonjour à tous. J'ai pas de mots pour qualifier la conférence d'aujourd'hui. Bon. Je vous remercie d'avoir assisté à cette webconférence à la mémoire de notre frère qui nous a quittés il y a maintenant 2 ans. Je suis très heureux que vous ayez pu créer.
Votre appel a été mis en attente.
Du temps afin d'être disponible aujourd'hui. I don't know if you are hearing me very well.
Very well, sir. We can hear you, sir.
OK. Je salue également l'initiative de Abiodun. On ne s'est jamais vu, je ne pense pas, mais je pense que ça sera l'occasion de parler de nous. Et je salue votre initiative. Aussi Ada, que j'ai l'honneur de côtoyer tout le temps. Et Dr. Igah.
Votre appel a été mis en attente.
Qui est mon homonyme. Et aussi Dr. Maryse Okeke. Ah bah, Okeke, bah, Maryse Okeke.
Votre appel a été mis en attente.
J'appelle Okeke parce qu'elle fait partie de famille. Et aussi Dimitri. Et Henry au sujet. Bon.
En attente.
Beaucoup de choses sont dites à propos de mon grand frère. Tout est vrai. Et c'est un homme que je ne sais pas si je peux en avoir pareil encore.
Votre appel a été mis en attente.
Quelque chose à faire en sorte qu'il soit parti comme ça. Mais on est là. On continue tout ce qu'il nous a laissé. Bon, merci de tous les intervenants, dignes représentants de la lutte pour notre élévation, notre valorisation, notre fierté. Je pense que nous pouvons tous contribuer au développement durable de notre continent en privilégiant l'excellence, en travaillant dur et pour nous-mêmes, et en conservant la plus possible de nos richesses et nos traditions qui sont le socle sur lequel nous devons nous appuyer pour grandir. Pour terminer, merci à tous ceux qui sont présents aujourd'hui.
Votre appel a été mis en attente.
Ceux qui ont été, de près ou de loin, d'un précieux soutien pendant cette période difficile. Du docteur ingénieur Martin Okeke, fils de l'Afrique, et retourné auprès de nos ancêtres. Je suis sûr qu'il nous encourage à tendre vers la justice, la paix et l'excellence qui il a toujours recherché. So, in a nutshell, I really appreciate all what is being said and all the people who intervened. This shows that the legacy of my senior brother will never be forgotten. So I thank you people, and I hope that we will continue to be working together in his memory. So thank you very much.
Madam Ada, Madam Professor Igah, I think we can officially call this one word from you before we call this a day. I'm sure this is just the first meeting edition, and maybe an information about keeping this up once as an annual event from you, and then please wrap up from there. Thank you, Mr. Emmanuel, for that brilliant vote of thanks. So officially, either of Dr. Igah or Madam Ada, please, the floor is yours, and please close us from there.
Nothing to say from my side. I think we've spent a very great time, and we've actually been very patient. So let me just thank everybody for this very wonderful participation, and leave the floor for the chairperson of the event, Mrs. Ada Ene Fayet, as chairperson, to say the last words. Thank you very much.
Merci à tous. Thank you, everybody. And special thanks to all the different organizations, those that called in, everybody that participated, NIDOE, Friends of France, Nigeria, everybody, individuals. There's no word to describe what happened today. It's beyond, wow. That's the only way to describe it. And je vous remercie beaucoup. Merci à tous pour cet honneur, and hope to see you all next year at the same time. Let's continue this. It's a beautiful thing. Thank you, Dr. Igah. Merci beaucoup, Abiodun. There's no word to say. Can't qualify this. I just let everybody go back and savor it. Like, I don't know. That's it. Merci à tous. Bon week-end et bonne fête de papa, tous les papas. It's not just about fête. We think about it dance as well. And Emmanuel, thank you so much. To all the family of Dr. Martin Okeke, thank you for being with us. Merci à tous. À bientôt.
Yes, actually, I think it should be mentioned today is the anniversary of the passing of Martin Okeke, and his family normally would have gone to visit him at his resting place, somewhere in the suburb of Paris.
Yeah.
But they put our event ahead, and I'm very sure Emmanuel Okeke will be leading the family and other friends to go to say hello to Dr. Martin this afternoon. So thank you very much. Thanks, Abiodun, for everything, and your team.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.